Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video on this very basic circuit board. We'll be using KiCAD, and this is a beginner video. If you've got any experience with KiCAD at all, you're probably beyond this and you should seek out other videos. But we'll get started, and what I'm going to work through is I'm going to work through creating a schematic, and that schematic will look something like this. Very simple, and it's just 3 LEDs and 3 resistors to limit those LEDs, and then we'll create the circuit board itself, or the traces in the circuit board in the circuit board in PCB new, the circuit board tool, and I'll show you how to go through that. And then what you're seeing on my wallpaper is the result of a render. KiCAD has a great 3D viewer in it. This is the standard view, and of course this is the final rendered view I made for this video. So let's get started. To begin, we're going to be opening KiCAD. So to begin, let's just open KiCAD. I have an icon saved on my desktop. Now, because I already have a copy running, it's asking me if I want to continue, so I'm just going to say yes. You probably won't get that, and you'll be presented with this window. So what we're going to have to do is I'm going to close this project. Actually, we'll just open a new one. So you can do a new project from the file menu, or you can do a new one from this icon right here. You'll be presented with a file dialog, and I'm going to go to my KiCAD folder where I have all my projects, and we're just going to do a stoplight, we'll call it, and just click save. And that's going to create a schematic file and the PCB file for you to work on. So the first one we're going to open is the schematic file. I'm going to dock this to half the screen, and so we'll start with the schematic file. So let's open that and get started. So to open the schematic, you can either click on the item in the tree view or this icon here. So I'm going to do that, and we'll bring that into view. Let's maximize this and zoom up. So in the schematic, we'll be adding what's called symbols, and in KiCAD, symbols are differentiated as the items that go on the schematic, and components go on the circuit board. So to add let's look at what we're going to do first. And basically we're going to add 3 LEDs, 3 resistors, a connector, and 4 mounting holes. So let's start doing that. So I'm just going to click on the symbol tool and just click anywhere towards the middle. KiCAD will load up the library of tools, and we're going to search in that to find it. That's an error I'm getting because my Arduino library isn't found. So to add an LED, I'm going to type in LED, and you can see it's found a generic one. Keep in mind that this is representative of the symbol, and it's not going to have a model number or a particular part number attached to it. So I'm just going to drop that towards the middle, and let's zoom up so it's easier to work with. I did that with a scroll wheel. And now we're going to click over here to add a resistor. And again, I'm just going to type R, because there's a handy R for resistor. And that's a generic resistor. I think that's the European version. I'm going to click on that and drop that there. Next, I'm going to add the connector. And there's 2 entries for connectors. There's the first one you come across, and then the second one is generic. I tend to use generic, but you may need different things. You can see there's lots of different generic stuff. So that's worked well for me so far. I'm going to be picking the 4-pin generic connector, and I'm going to drop that over here somewhere. So now I need a few more of these, but before I get them, I'm going to position these the way I want them. So you select the item by clicking on it, and you can tell that it's selected because the whole item is highlighted, the symbol itself and the lettering. So I'm going to rotate this by hitting R. I'm going to hit it twice because I want the cathode side to be facing this way, because I'm going to have common ground. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate. You can right click on the item and select duplicate, and then you can duplicate it. I'm going to hit escape. You can also duplicate just by hitting Control D. That's a little bit faster. So I'm going to do that again for this one, Control D. And then we're going to do that for the resistor. Before I duplicate the resistor, I'm going to rotate that. And now I'll do a Control D. And you see that I'm lining them up with the LEDs so it's easier to wire. So those are all the regular components. The next thing I want to add is mounting holes. Because mounting holes can be electrically connected, we want them on the schematic, just in case they are electrically connected. Mine aren't going to be. So they're a symbol just like anything else, and I can just type in mounting, and you see I've got a mounting hole. You can do it with a pad or without a pad, and a DIN rail adapter, which, you know, telling you my experience, I don't even know what that is. So I need 4 mounting holes in my case. So I'm going to go back to the selector tool, and I'm going to do Control D, and Control D, and Control D one more time. So that's my 4 mounting holes. So now I can wire this up. But actually, before I do, I want this connector oriented in such a way that it will wire nicely to each of these, and also be pin accurate for the Arduino that it's going to plug into. So first I'm going to rotate it, and now I'm going to flip it. Actually, I'm going to flip it horizontally. So let's do, flip around the horizontal axis. You can just press X as well. One last thing, I just want to move these so they're lined up. So to move a component, you hit M, and then you can move it. So now let's wire it. So to wire it, you use the green wiring tool here. So we're going to do add a wire, and I'm just going to wire each resistor to its related LED. And then I'm going to wire each LED to each other. These are common grounds, and you'll be able to see that the lines automatically connect. You see that node means they're connected. And then I'm going to go around, and I'm going to come down. Let's go over a little bit more, and I'm going to come down to pin 1. So pin 1 is going to be lined up with ground on my Arduino. So that's why I'm orienting it this way. And now I'm going to do the resistors. I'll do this easy one first, and then I'll do this one. So I just try to make it look pretty. We'll fix that in a second. And that's my whole circuit for this. Let me just fix that. There. So that's our circuit completed. We just need to do a few things to get it ready for the printed for the PCB part. First, we need to assign footprints, we need to annotate. So this is going to change the question marks to numbers. So I'm going to click on this little notepad icon, and we're going to click annotate, and you'll see if they're all green, you're good to go. And I'm going to just close this. So now you can see they're all numbered instead of question marks. So the next thing I'm going to do, so for more complicated circuits, you might want to perform an electric rules check, but for this one, it's going to come up with nothing, I believe. So now I'm going to run CVPCB, which is assign footprints. So you'll see it lets us do this in mass. So here are all components, and we could assign the footprints for each one. Before we do that, however, I'm going to try to do it a different way, because I think it'll be a little bit more helpful. So I'm going to go to LED 1, and you can see there's a footprint field here. I'm going to select the library icon, and that gives me this footprint browser that went up to my other screen. I'm going to scroll down to LED, and I'm going to do a through-hole LED, and I'm going to pick a very generic 3mm one. And the one reason why you might want to do it this way is, one, it shows the actual footprint, and then you can also do a 3D view to have a double check. I keep going to my other screen. A double check to make sure it's what you want. So that is what I want. So that's good. So I'm going to double click on this, and it will be assigned. Okay. So that's the LED assigned. Now I'm going to pick one of the resistors, and this one I'm going to do a right click on just to show you the different entry points for editing. And I can click on edit footprint or hit F. So I'm going to do that there. Now I'm going to click select. Now in my opinion, this should be the same library icon as in the other one, but I'm not a programmer, so. And you can see that it has my previous selection, which I don't want. I want a resistor. So we're going to go down to through-hole resistors. And now this can be a little confusing. Mine is let's see, it says 3.6 long. So that's the barrel of the resistor. And my diameter is, I have to look it up. Let's see, I had a diameter of 1.6, yups, and the length, or the pitch, is 2.5, there it is, up here, is 2.54, but let's see, so it's axial 3.6, I get everything, and then it's horizontal, so let's see if I can find that. Vertical. Okay, I misspoke. The pitch is 5.08 millimeters, and that just happens to fit the resistors I have. So this is the distance from pin to pin, and I'm saying pitch, I think that's what it is. So I'm going to double click that like before, and you'll see it shows up in that field, and we're going to click OK. And so for the mounting holes and the connectors, we'll do it in the batch mode. But I wanted to show you the reason why I selected those first is now when I go into the footprint editor, you'll see that those are already selected. So it's a lot easier to, let's see, I should be able to, a lot easier to match what you're doing. I thought it would would list for me, but it doesn't do that. That's okay. So now we go to LED, or let's see if we can try auto populate too. Where's the auto populate? I think it's there. Let's see if it can figure it's smart. Nope. Okay, so I don't know about that. So now we can just double click through, and you'll notice if you double click, it goes to the next field for you. So now for mounting holes, I'm going to find mounting holes here, and we're just going to do a 2.5 millimeter. I'm going to do it with a pad, and I'm going to click through that. And then connector, we're going to go up to connectors, and I'm going to be doing a pin connector, and it's going to be 2.5 millimeters. And it's going to be a 1x4, so that's in this group here, and it's going to be horizontal to the so I think we're right here, horizontal to the circuit board. I think that's the right one. So, and then finally our resistors again, let's get those done. So we're going to be doing through hole resistors, and you got to find that same one again. So it's 3.6, so it's going to be in this group here, and its diameter is 3.6, 1.6 diameter. So this to me is the hardest part of the whole thing, and it's horizontal. So I'll double click that and double click it again. So those look all good. So I'm just going to click OK. So now we have all our footprints. So now we can run the PCB tool. So when I click on this, it will go into the PCB and bring up this window here. But you notice we don't have any components yet. You actually have to, once you go into the PCB tool, you have to bring those footprints in. So clicking on this import tool here, which is also available in the tools menu, brings in all your components, or all your symbols into components in your PCB. And the green lettering tells you everything worked out okay, and you can see total error is 0, warnings error is 0, 0. So that's what we're looking for. Oops, I hit escape on the wrong thing. Let's do that again. Click update PCB and close. So you see it's grabbed, so I'm just going to drop those in the middle, and we're going to zoom up on it. So you get this pile of components not in any particular order, so we have to rearrange those. So let's start rearranging those. So the first thing I like to do is you click on a component, and if KiCAD can't figure it out, it'll give you choices. So I've got this mounting hole selected. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to select that pad too, that mounting hole, move that. So I'm just getting these out of the way. Let's see if I click in the middle here. Oop. Okay. So we're just going to go through and kind of move these out of the way. I should be able to get that. There we go. And now I'm going to just line up these LEDs. So I'm going to put D1 at the top. I'm going to put D1 in the middle and D3 at the bottom. Now I'm going to bring the resistors, so I'm hitting move to move each one of these. And now the first thing is I want to orient these resistors vertically, so I'm going to click on them, and I'm going to hit, let's just box select. So if you click and drag, you get a box select, and I'm just going to hit rotate, and that's good, and rotate, and that's good, and rotate. So those are how I want them, and then we're going to bunch them up right in the middle here. So I'm just clicking, and then M for move. Now when you're putting resistors in, you can see I got the text by mistake there. You want to make sure you get the whole thing. When you're putting resistors in, you can put them tighter than they look, because they look bigger on the PCB than they actually come out. And we're going to finally move this connector. Now before I do anything to the connector, I want that to be on the back side of the board. So let's double click it to get its properties. And you'll see in the footprint properties on the bottom left here, we can click back and click OK. So now that's on the back layer, and let's move it down. Now to work on the back layer, if you want to add directly, you'd have to select that layer. But because I specifically put it on the back layer, the work done will be on that layer. So now let's rotate this, and that's good. And this automatically has through holes to the other side. So now all that's left is wiring up the circuit. And oh, nope, I actually want to flip these around too. And these positions are just simply so it's easier to run the circuit traces. So now let's move those to where we really want them. And let's bring the holes in a little bit. So I'm not going to exactly match my design, but I'm just going to get it close. Otherwise the video gets longer than it needs to be. Okay, and let's move that just one over. Nope. Okay, so now let's start running the circuit traces. So let's run the circuit traces. I'm going to zoom up a little bit so we can see a little bit better. And to run the traces, we're going to select this tool right here. And first I'm just going to do these grounding wires here. So it's just these cathodes, one to each one. And then let's see, oops, so we got these are, I need to flip these around. So let's do that. I messed that up. So in order for the trace wires to go well, I just need to make these the opposite of what they were. R3 and rotate. Oops. And one other thing is, well, yes, that goes there. Yep, okay. So now let's do the rest of it. So I'm going to run this anode to there. And now there are probably rules that you can follow for these circuits, but for these simple circuits like this and just hobby stuff, it probably doesn't really matter that much. And then the final thing I'm going to do is click on this and bring it around to that ground, and then wire each one of these. I often do find myself, I want it to look a certain way, but I won't torture you with that during this video. So you can click at each node to kind of anchor it to get it better. And then if you do want to move it around, you can pick, so let's say that we want it to make this a little bit bigger. You can pick drag 45 and you can drag it, and you see how it pushes the other one around. So it's a really nice feature. So let's drag this one. So you can get a pretty nice looking circuit just by dragging these around. Let's try one more drag. See if I can get this. So that's terrible, but anyway, you get the idea. So you can sort of paint your circuits and get them exactly the way you like it, and make it artwork. So let's take a quick look at this as it sits now, and we're going to use a 3D viewer. So let's do a 3D viewer, and you can see that it's getting to be what we want. But you see the board itself is too big. I'll ignore that the holes are out of alignment for now. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this 3D viewer over here, and let's make this half size here. See if I can get my screen to dock it. Oh, that's right. I remember, I think this doesn't dock correctly. KiCAD doesn't dock on this version of Linux. So the reason I'm leaving that there is you'll notice that there is sort of an update. So to add the edge of the board, we have to change to that layer. So if we want to go to edge cuts, so with that blue triangle, that shows us we're at that layer. And now the work we do is on that layer. And that's important for board manufacturing later on. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle around my board. And let's see we'll learn how well things got lined up real fast. So this one's going to be a little bit bigger than the one I demoed. And that's it for the board layer. So now when I go back to the 3D view, I think it's saving. Hold on. Oh, my computer catches up. Now if I click on the 3D view, you see it changed, and changed for the worse. I see, because we just that's going to fall off. So let me show you quick how to move this line. So you'll notice I grabbed it with a box select. You can click right on the line, but I've noticed that sometimes it just does not want to be selected. See how I had to click it a couple times? Let's bring this wire down here. So I'm just grabbing the white box and dragging it, and then I'm going to select these, and I'm going to bring that down. The lines have to be contiguous, they have to be connected, or else you won't get a good board edge. So now let's update our board edge, and there we go. So that's pretty much it. That's how we create a simple circuit board in KiCAD. Some of the things I haven't done yet is put labels on these. So for example, if you wanted to put the label ground on here, we'd select the front silk layer so that the blue triangle is on the front silk layer. And then we'd select the text tool. So you can just place the text wherever you want it. And I'm going to type in the label ground, and we're going to make it bigger. Or actually, I think I need to make it smaller, so let me leave it at 1 for now. So you can see so that's front silks, and now when we go back to the 3D view, you can see that it's updated. So your 3D view is great for knowing you're getting what you're expecting, because sometimes it's hard to see on the circuit board, and it shows you everything, including the traces. And you can flip it around and see how things are poking through. So I highly recommend getting used to the 3D viewer and using it. I think it's a wonderful tool. And that's going to be it. I think you could figure out how to put 13, 12, and 11 here. And if you wanted to rearrange these, well, let's rearrange one of those. Sorry, I keep saying it's over. So, oops, sorry. A little misclick there. So let's get back into PCB view. So you can move these texts around. Sorry, I keep picking the wrong thing. It's this select tool. You can move these around by selecting just the reference. So you see value of lead D2 or D1. So now when I hit move, it's just that text, and it snaps to the grid just like anything else would. So you can rearrange things and prettify your board and make it easier to understand or assemble. So now when I look at the 3D viewer, you'll see that the numbers the letterings have moved over. Another thing, we could put these resistor numbers right under the resistor, and you can also put labeling on it so that people know it's your board. So anyway, well, I hope you like this channel. I'll be doing more KiCAD in between my FreeCAD videos, and then eventually I hope to add some coding videos, but make sure you subscribe and click on the alarm bell so you get notified. Have a great day. Thanks.